All right, well, should be something anyway. Okay. Got some stuff to do this morning to get ready for the show tonight. At least I'm going to try and do as much as I can. I don't think I'm able to monitor all the places that I'm streaming to. That sounds like a project, because I think that would be really cool. Be able to do that. That's a plan of mine. I'm not even sure if there is a restream chat anymore. I just don't know. It's okay. But this should be live to a lot of places, and hopefully people hear me okay. So what I'm going to do is see if I can monitor some of this stuff. This stream doesn't have a schedule yet, doesn't have a lot of things yet, but hoping that this time works out okay. So let's see if it went live on YouTube. I don't know if it did. Let's go to YouTube. Look at that, it does show something. Okay. Let's check Twitter. I'm not sure if I'm logged into Twitter on this. Not. Fine. What happens if I just go to the page? Yeah, it looks like it's live there. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Cool. All right, good enough. So what's going on here? I got Get Kraken updated. Already grabbed that. One of the things I want to check on here is whether or not I have a I'm not 100% sure at here. Get puzzles is not here. Okay. Well, let's go get it then. Right? I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to use Get Puzzles, but I at least want to take a look at it. So the TheDevTalkShow has a repo, and here's Get Puzzles. Let's just see what this looks like. I don't remember when I used this. So I have some interesting and kind of weird work habits when it comes to Git. I tend to view things. I tend to view a visual workflow and then do things at the command line. And I think I have a couple reasons for that. One of them is to make sure that I keep my command line skills up to date. All right, so I'm not sure where I'm at on this code. I'm just curious. I don't know if I have live server running. Do I? I do, so I could theoretically start a live server. It's been a little while since I've tried to do a lot of this stuff. That's Copilot. So let's see. Live server, open with live server. And okay, so it looks like what I did, like I created a little page, the survey. I guess I could pick a team. Look at this, I had some fun with this. What do you know? Okay, that's cool. So, take a look at what this history looks like. I wish I can change this default folder because that's lame. I actually don't really change too much when I install this, and it's not because I don't want to, it's because I just don't usually have to. Oh, interesting. So we can disable auto fetch, which I'd rather do. I'd rather disable fetch just mainly for demonstration purposes. I think that makes sense. And I don't really know how much of this I have connected, which I don't care too much about because I don't tend to use it. What I was wondering is, can I do something like say, hey, I tend to start here for my files. I don't know that they have that. So that's okay. No big deal. I tend to keep a separate source folder. Something I like to do. And let's see what I did. Okay, so there's a little bit of commits from some commits that I did on GitHub itself, and then some commits I did separately. Okay, so our buddy Joe Janko. We got to get Joe going. And I think I can do that. It might be pretty simple. So it turns out tonight I'm going to have a second machine going. That's the plan anyway. And what is nice about this when you're doing Git tutorials is it can be very hard to simulate multi-user interaction without actually having a second like terminal going. And the reason is because just how Git works. Like Git, you're at the command line and you're doing some stuff, and there's a current user, and I desperately want the current user to be someone else. So I don't know if I have to sudo this. I just don't know. So I think we'll say James. I don't know if I had to do that. So we added a user, and I need to give him a password. Okay. Oh, cool. You want a name, room number, don't care about that. Phone, don't care. Home phone, don't care. Other, don't care. Information looks good to me. We have a user. Okay. I'm wondering if I should add the user. Maybe. I like how it says try again later. I'm really not 100% sure if that's all I have to do. I just don't know. So, I mean, I could switch, right? How do I do this again? Do I just type this? Yeah, I think. Okay, so now I'm running as him, but I'm in a different, did he have his own home folder? Does, so let's switch to that. Okay, cool. And then let's see, what's something that I shouldn't be able to see? I shouldn't be able to root, right? I'm sorry. Do I have to do this? I shouldn't be able. Okay, permission denied. That's good. So, okay. Okay, that worked. So I think I did all that correctly. That's probably, it was really small on the screen though. So that's some good points here. For one thing, we should make this much bigger, right? This is show prep after all. So there might be a better way to make stuff bigger that I'm just unaware of. And I think what I'm going to do is bump this font size up quite significantly. 26. Yeah, it's better. Okay, cool. Let's switch back. Gomez. And Gomez is home. Not sure if I have a whole lot in here. Not really. Cool. So make a source folder. Switch to source. And now I've done it. I've given myself. In fact, let's not do that. I think that was okay. There might have been a better way for me to do that. So opening new terminal when that's not what I. Crazy how I really feel like 30 makes more sense. Big, but that's all right. And then I think I can quickly scroll. No, can't scroll wheel. I'm sure I can get a better terminal, and you know, people will say that you should get a better terminal, but I don't care. So now, what else do I want to do? Oh, I never did make that source folder. Oh, and of course, thank goodness I spelled that wrong. I like how it's like, hey, were you trying to use makedir? I love that. Of course, right? I haven't installed code. Is that true? Thought that I installed studio code. If that's not the case, then let's do this. I'm also going to want to get cracking, and I actually don't know. They have some cool way that they install. I just don't know. Yeah, I clearly have not launched this on this VM like ever. Sure, whatever. I don't care. Just want to get to work. I don't know that I actually need Get Kraken. I don't know that I need it, and I probably won't install on this machine. Okay, so I'm sure this is, yeah, sure, I trust the authors and that. Okay, so there's really nothing going on in here. This also is super small. That a lot bigger. Dark is fine. I'm not sure what else you're going to ask me for. Can we just not do this? I don't really want to do anymore. Little blinking there. The video driver. Yeah. Interesting if it redraws it here. Video driver's kind of a mess. Alright, well, you know. I actually wonder if it would work better over there on the other machine. If I come over here. Yeah, it's better. Hmm. Didn't help me as much as I wanted. Okay. I wonder. Why that's happening. Hmm. Oh, let's try it again. Feels like something isn't right though. I don't want the welcome page. I don't even like the welcome page. But see, the mouse target stuff is not correct. So okay, so this is kind of virtual. VirtualBox. Okay. We can deal with that though. For one thing, I think we can do this. I think we can say, I think we set this something nice like 1920 by 1080, right? I think we can do that. Then I might want to think about this a little bit, but I can do a window capture. We'll say and I gotta pick the host. This. Say okay. Then take the transform. That didn't actually do what I wanted. What am I streaming, by the way? Am I streaming some weird resolution? I mean 1080p. So what if we do this? What if we say virtual stream can be this? No, that's not quite right. I must not have this window sized correctly. That's better. And then no matter what I do, I can move this all I want and it doesn't matter. I can even take this and move it over here and it doesn't matter. I probably want to go back and forth though. All right, so still haven't gotten started on much of anything. Now, how big is this? Big. Now it's huge. The good thing here is I can probably drop this down into 22. That's not so bad. Okay. Don't have Git, so let's install Git. I don't know that I'm going to need anything else. Am I going to need anything else? I'm going to have to configure it. It's been a while since I've done that. It's been a while since I've done some Git configuration. Okay. So now Git works. No idea what version we're on. 2020, pretty late. Funny. Okay. So actually, let's cancel that. I could just switch user, right? I don't strictly have to do this, but I'm going to. What do you mean? I'm gonna say, man, if I forgot my password for that new user, I'm in trouble. I got a notification that resizing support is busted, but that's probably okay. Don't really care about this stuff. Don't care about this. Stuff I'm gonna need tonight. I think I will actually go ahead and pin. And just because it'll just make it easier. And now, oh, this is gonna do that first time setup for Firefox again, isn't it? Can I turn this off? I think I can. I don't want any of this stuff. Yeah, like I just want a browser. Okay. Now I want github.com, which I believe I need to log into, which is okay. Question is, pretty sure that I have some credentials I can use. I was pretty sure that he had an account. I'm gonna be bummed if I can't find it. I found it. Oh, the other thing is I don't know if I have the, oh, I don't have the, I don't think I have the cut and paste stuff going. Man, that would be pretty badass. It just worked. Didn't. I wasn't sure if I'm not sure if I have to reboot the machine to get that. So we're gonna try it. Go ahead and power off. I'm gonna do some other things too while I'm here. Oh, that's interesting that you're seeing. It's showing some VirtualBox stuff. That's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and take a snapshot of this. User. I probably won't keep this one. Install Git. That's probably fine. And then what I really want talks about the clipboard here, the shared clipboard. Just do I remember where it is? Is it here? Here we go. Ah, it does say. Interesting. Is that stuff really not working? I would kind of like for it to work. Okay. I don't need this right at the moment. Let's figure out some other stuff for tonight. Okay, so now that I've done all this, terminal back in. Do I have Git? I do. We know we have GitHub. And again, all right, we have our Git puzzles. So let's go ahead and clone this over here as well. I feel like that print got small again. Does this not get saved? Or it's probably different because it's a different user. So that'll be okay. And then let's, I would like, okay, I didn't realize that was from there. I'd like a source folder in his. And I still don't know if I can paste from, able to clone Git puzzles, no problem. What I want to know is can I sign in and paste from, I'm hoping I can. Okay, I think that's good. Cool. Because what I want to do is I want to sign in as Mr. Janko here. I don't really ever want to save. So cool, I know I'm him. Good. Not done yet though. It's been a little while since I've done git config. Is it /e to open an editor? It's been a while since I've done this. To edit, I think you could say, obviously you can, well, I say obviously, like it's super easy. What if I do git config, what do I get? Nothing. Okay, so I can say git config /l and I can see nothing. That's interesting. Maybe because I didn't pick the global config. That surprises me a little. I'm thinking that git config isn't created until I do something, perhaps. So here's the situation. I've got a virtual machine here that I'm going to use tonight. I want it to be a different user. I don't want it to be me. So I installed Git, and this is pretty good stuff. Like stuff I need to remember and maybe even make a video about. I installed Git, and and it's been a long time since I've done first time setup. So let's see what I remember. Let's look at the help. You know what? I really didn't want a man page. Like I really didn't. How did I? Oh, I see. When I said git config and it threw up at me. So show origin I think is something that I used to like. So git config show origin, and then I think what it's telling me is, hey, you don't even have, like this was saying, you don't even have a config file. Okay, so there's a way to configure an editor, and I don't remember how to do that. But oops. Now do I have one? Okay, so I think it makes it for me. Yeah, okay, so that must be how it makes it. Okay, and then there's git config global. Is it email, user.email? And his email is jjanko1284. So now if I go back and say I list global config, and then I think there's one that I like that's like show origin. Yeah, that's the one I like. Okay, so now if I, at least if I commit something, it says this user. There's also a way to configure, I don't remember how to do this. There's a way to configure your editor. So I'm actually going to go look that up real quick. And I just don't remember. So I may need a button to switch back and forth on this. Because as of now, what I have to do is do that. So I think I need a button here. Like I have my monitor capture, which actually that button doesn't seem to do anything. Both of those buttons don't do anything. Okay, well let's check out what's going on. So the scene is screen capture, the source is monitor capture. Here it is. Oh, I see. It actually was doing something. Haha. I just don't see it. Okay. So screen capture, monitor captures live. That's easy enough. So what I can do is let's create another button. And we're not going to worry. I'm going to have to think about this a little bit later, but it's going to be a source that we say this is the VirtualBox source. And we're going to say that it's the main scene and the VirtualBox 1080 goes on and off pretty much. So now I should be able, yeah, so now I can switch back. Okay. I think I did some interesting stuff here where I said, like, this is live. And then when I flip and I say air, and I think it remembers that. So, no, it doesn't. There's a way to do it. I'm certain of it. Because see, I can do it here, and I can go live, and I can go live and off air, and that works. So there's a way. I just don't remember. That's no big deal. Oh, I see. You create a new icon. All right. I can fix that later because I think it's something I will want to fix. So, cool. We're getting there. All right, next step. Next thing I want to do is, oh yeah, that's right. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure that. Okay, so guy's blog post. That's good. This is probably it. Yeah, I'm sure this is it. So. Okay, so now when I say show origin, I've got a core editor command, which is good. So now I believe that if I say, you know what, I'm going to need some commands ready. Let's see. Yeah, I should really make an alias for this. Like, duh, right? Git repository. Let's go to Git puzzles and do it there. There we go. So, a halfway decent log. Okay, now. Here's the question of what I want to do. I may go ahead and install some Git tools, and I think I have a pretty good reason for it, frankly. Let me double check what my monitor looks like again. This isn't that bad. Okay. Still think this is a little on the small side. Yeah, maybe I can't do it yet. Like the weirdest little modal dialogue I've ever seen. Chose one. I honestly don't care about. I already know about this. That. I already know about that. Can I mark the whole thing done and never come back here? That would be nice. Okay, so Git Lens. I know a lot of people like Git Lens. Oh, was Git Lens by Gitkraken? Oh, look at that. I feel like the Gitkraken folks bought Git Lens or took it over. Huh. Interesting. So I've always liked this Git graph. I'm going to install it. And I've always, I know a lot of people like Git Lens. So I'm going to install it. But personally, I've always thought that this Git graph was pretty good. Of course, I don't have to. I say that, and now I don't know where the Git graph. This Git Lens. Just kind of want it to do stuff. Do anything. So when it says, first of all, I don't care about this. What do they mean? They say let's see. So this is what I was looking for. Not bad. Not bad, might be helpful. Yeah, definitely rich. I keep telling myself I'm trying to get set up for tonight, but there's a lot to set up. So, okay. What I want to confirm, a few things. I want to confirm, let's see, where am I? Status is good. Git checkout -b. Let's create a new branch. And you know, this is something we could talk about on the show. Some places like to do things like this. And what is this project going to be? It's going to be maybe to add a map. So what I've done is I've created a new branch, user jjanko add map. Some people like that. I don't care. But people like it. And so now the status is here. And we're going to have him make a quick change. And question is, what will that change be? Let's have him come over here and do nothing more than add. Let's add a div. Because that's what we do. We're going to say maybe I'll try and get like a map of Staples Center. Oh, I'm sorry. Do we not call it Staples Center anymore? But I want to change. I definitely want to change, and I can see nothing. That's interesting that Visual Studio doesn't know about my change. Surprised. Knows about it. Cool. So git add index.html, and now that's in the index, which is a fuzzy concept for a lot of people. And if I go ahead and commit here, but I don't do anything, I should get an editor. Okay, good. I like this experience. Added placeholder div for map work. We'll do that. And then we'll save that. And then you don't have to close the editor, but you have to close the file. And closing the file, close a window. I don't want to close a window. I would like to close the file, but there may not be a quick file. Control W, okay. Control W, which should kick in the terminal. That should have kicked in. It did. Added placeholder. So now our log here has me with an additional commit, add placeholder div for map work. If we go take a look at that in this Git graph, we see it. We see that jjanko add map is pointing at this new commit 543c6 6c, I mean, and that's parent. Its parents are origins head, which is fine. I find it interesting the way that this is labeled. It's because I never checked out master. Okay. We'll make some other changes to this repo too. So Visual Studio Git has this publish branch command. I don't have anything against this command. As far as I know, that command is nothing more than a straight up git push -u. And because I never remember how to do it, I almost always just say git push. I do remember that -u is the shortcut for set upstream. At least I'm pretty sure about that. Let's see what happens if I hit the help. Pretty sure, yeah, u and set upstream are the same. That's what this is telling me in the man page there. So, like I said, typically what happens is when I publish a branch is I come out here and I go, I don't remember how to publish a branch, but Git will tell me. So to push this current branch and set the remote as upstream. So what does that mean? Push the branch and set the remote as upstream. This is like one of the trickiest concepts in all of Git. All of Git is your repository is your repository. It doesn't seem like it when you're new, and it doesn't even seem like it when you're experienced. But your branches are your branches. You can do what you wish. But in order to make life easier, most Git commands, when you pull down branches and so on, automatically create what they call a remote tracking branch upstream, which is just a fancy term for up to the remote that you pulled it from. And that way, when you say git push, that just means git push is ready to go for your branch. You say git push, and it already knows, like, hey, here's where I go push to, here's where I fetch from, here's where I pull from. But you can actually use git commands to push, pull, fetch from wherever you want, which can be a little mind-bending. I do not, and I'm not going to recommend that it's something you need every day or even at all. But I have done it in very rare cases. All right, so I'm going to create a tracking branch, and here's where I need to set up SSH. I'm going to want to set up SSH so that I don't have to keep putting in the username. I'm thinking that's all I have to do. The problem is I need the password. Yeah, I certainly do not want to do this. So I'm glad that I ran through this. The bad thing is that I'm sure there's a lot of people who would like to know how to run through this too. Didn't work. So port for password authentication was removed. So now we are token authentication only from command line. Okay. Well, we're going to do this sooner then, aren't we? What stinks about this first time setup stuff, and maybe it's good that I'm recording this because I can always go back, is the first time setup stuff is the stuff that you get it, you set it, it works, you forget about it, and then the next person needs help and you don't remember. I don't really want to use a personal access token over HTTPS. Why wouldn't I just use SSH? I feel like I would just use SSH. So let's see. So anyways, Rich says he just learned something. Curious what that was. I might know, but I also might not know. No SSH keys associated with the account. Okay. What I can't tell you is if... Oh, you always typed out set upstream? Yeah. So if, you know, reading documentation is actually a little bit of an art, right? And I see this in lots of documentation where you see this nomenclature. And we see it in other documentation too. I see it in the Azure CLI docs and in the .NET command line docs. But it's basically like, here's the shortcut. Here's the short one letter. Then here's the long stuff. Oh. Yeah, I mean, that's what it says. Right. When you push, when you're essentially, Git at least is smart enough to understand that you're probably trying to what is loosely known as publishing a branch, but what you're really probably trying to do is you're probably trying to create a new branch on origin and set up your local branch tracking so that your pushes locally, when you push, you're basically saying, hey, push my local commits up. That's probably what you're trying to do, and that's a mouthful. So they just kind of say like, this is probably what you want, and they're not wrong. So I need to create an SSH key, and I wonder if I gotta be careful about not recording the SSH key here. I really don't. Boy, I can't type it all today. Okay, so I already have SSH. So if I remember correctly, there's a SSH-L. Okay. SSH.add, right? Okay, so I think it's possible the next step might expose something, so I'm gonna turn off this source real quick, which doesn't do anything. Move this over here, turn the back off. But I will show what I'm reading. So I'm reading this here where, and you know, I it's not like I can't just make SSH keys on my own, but I don't remember a lot of this stuff right now. So if I say, oh, I have no identities, it's fine. I appreciate that they ask. I appreciate that they're basically saying, hey, you know, do you have an existing key? I appreciate that. That's probably people like run around making like 1 million keys, and that's okay as long as you can manage to not lose track of any. So I do have nothing going on in that folder at all. No files at all. So basically that means I can generate a key and I actually yeah, this might be okay. I may not have to worry about this being on stream. Interesting that they want a specific algorithm or they recommend one. Obviously I can type a password. Okay, cool. So I've made the key. Okay, we just got a follow from Juicer. Hope I said that right, but thanks for following. Really appreciate that. Got my new identity here. We list it. Now this agent has no identities. Right. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't add it to the agent. Yeah, that's right. That makes sense. So now I'm gonna have to do this sometime and make a whole video on it, I think. I don't actually do this on Windows, but yet I prefer it on Linux. So now we have that identity. There's that fingerprint, which I'm not sure is sensitive. So let's bring back the VirtualBox source. So I basically followed most of these instructions here. And what that left me with is I now have public key, private key ready to go. I need to add it to the GitHub account. And I do have, like, I already know that identity works. So Next step is adding it to GitHub, right? Which I haven't done this in a while. New SSH key or add an SSH key. Let's say new SSH key. Here's where Humphrey's the name of my virtual machine. And we will flip back to my other screen just real quick. It's the public key that I need though, right? I mean, they wouldn't want the private. I wouldn't want them to have the private key. That's the whole point. So, oops. I actually think that I'm clear to give them this. The reality is that I'm not 100% sure. Like, private key, I don't want to show. I think I'm clear to just paste this in. But I'm going to be honest, it's been a while. So let's copy here, paste that in. Let's see if it complains. Didn't complain. So it was happy about that. Okay, so now that I've done that, that seemed like a long roundabout sort of thing. So now here's one of my big problems. One of my big problems is I made this change. You know, I don't actually know how to do this. Can I just git push even though I didn't clone as SSH, right? I did. Let's go back over here. I'm pretty sure that's my public key. I'm not too worried about it. Maybe I'm wrong to not be worried about it, but I am not. So we have git puzzles, and here's the interesting thing. I cloned this as HTTPS. So if I try to push now, I think it's going to still be like, but hold on, you cloned me as HTTPS. See? So here's an interesting question that I've never come across before. How do you, can you change Git authentication? Is that right? HTTPS to SSH. Let's see if that comes up with anything. Swapping an S. Look at this. This is awesome. How to switch a GitHub repository to SSH authentication. Awesome. So this incredible blog post by Anthony in November of 2021, so just getting this in the nick of time, is going to get added to my my OneNote of stuff, and we're gonna call this switch authentication type for repo. That is great, and I certainly need to internalize that. So thank you, Anthony. So SSH is often best, whatever. If you have an SSH key already, I've already done the keygen part. Swapping. Okay, so you change the origin. Ah, that makes sense, actually. Changing the origin would do what I want. Yeah, it makes sense. Now that I'm listening to it, it makes sense. A few seconds ago, I was like, I don't know. I have no idea. But that kind of makes sense. So let me head back over to our Git repo, and we say git remote I just say git remote, I don't get to see much, right? And I think that's why I like -v. So it's telling me that origin is HTTPS. That's right. So what we do is we say git remote remove origin. And now when we say, look, the remotes, there's none. So push and so forth don't work right now. Because if I try to push, even if I use, it doesn't matter what I use, it's going to be like, you don't have origin. You don't have a remote repository configured. It doesn't matter what remote I try to put here. I could put eat at Joe's, right? And it's like, sorry, you don't, origin, I don't know what origin is. And it's because I have no remotes configured. So your repos have remotes. By default, when you clone, the remote origin is created. Maybe we talk about this tonight. I really struggle when trying to figure out what to box into a talk about Git or a conversation about Git, because there's just so much that's done by convention, and maybe we do that. Maybe we talk about those conventions. So now I need to add back the SSH based origin, and I don't exactly know what that is. I'm sure that I could derive it, but to me, I think it would be easier if I come here. Well, I mean, I do have public SSH keys, so don't give me that. I just have them on the other account, and we say that this is now origin. Origin is now an SSH based origin, and now when I go to push, now it's saying, hey, you have never connected to github.com before on this machine. I don't know if github.com is 140.82.113.4, and here's its fingerprint. So if you were extremely savvy and you were like, because most people aren't going to do this, but if you were savvy enough to say, I'm going to take the extra effort to confirm that I am actually talking to GitHub, then what you can do, what really bugs me, let's go take a look at the docs on this. So the docs say, they even say it, you may see a warning like this. Now I will give them that they tell you you can verify. So we can go click here and see the public fingerprint, and they're saying that their public fingerprint is P20QAMXNIC. That's probably good enough. So their ECDSA fingerprint is P2QAMXNIC. Head back over to our Linux machine, and we see P20AMX. So yes, GitHub is telling us that when you see this message, you are talking to GitHub. So I'm going to go ahead and say that yes, I am ready to continue. And now it's permanently added. They've permanently added that to a list of known hosts on this machine, and it might be interesting to go figure that out. Now, Jay Janko's not allowed to publish to Git Puzzles. Could not read from the remote repository. That's a different problem. So let's head back over to my Windows machine where I'm working as myself, and let's get Git Puzzles in here. Git Puzzles is saying, hey, Jay Janko's a contributor. He's certainly a contributor, but you know, he's not part of the team. So first we'll do this the open source way. And then I think I'm just going to add him to the project. And the reason why is because more than likely people watching are watching, they're thinking about issues at work, and at work, usually at work, even though you might be required to work by pull request, you may not, it may not be the way you work every day. So let's switch back to Linux, and here I'm gonna say, okay. I mean, most people, you know, what I mean is that most people have access to main, and the pull request stuff is by convention. So what I want to do is I want to go to the TheDevTalkShow, and I want to see the Git Puzzles repo, and I want to fork the Git Puzzles repo So now Jjanko has his own repo. You know, Rich, maybe this is all stuff we got to talk about tonight. I don't know. This is more of an open source thing, because here's the question a lot of people would ask me now. A lot of people would say, well, I guess I have to clone this repo. I have to delete my repo and clone this repo. And it's like, no, you don't. What I need to do is change the origin. So even though I just changed origin a little while ago, I'm going to change it again. And what I'm going to do is remove origin. And this time I'm going to make the origin, I'm going to make it his branch. I'm sorry, his fork. So let's add an origin here, and it won't be the DevTalkShow. It'll be Jjanko 1284. I think that's a capital, but I'm going to head back, take a quick peek back in the GitHub land and see. Yeah, see that? That capital J, that could be a killer because his username is a capital J, and especially because we're in Linux. So let's try again. And after all that, created a branch, set up to track remote branch Jjanko add map from origin. But what's interesting is all I've really done is, yes, so we have our recent push that it knows about. It's like, hey, you just pushed here. Okay, sure. Awesome. Compare and pull request. So that's just one way to do things. So that's not how I'm going to do this, though. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to head back to Windows, and we're going to add a team member. It's just going to be easier. So I want available roles are being granted to members in teams. I think he's going to be an admin, and we're going to assign a user. But wait, how do I do that? Why are they making this difficult? Oh, I gotta put my credentials back in. My own personal credentials. Man, there's more setup than I thought there would be. There he is. Invite this outside collaborator. I'm not sure that I need to make him admin, but I'm going to. So now there's some more work to do. Now back here, there's something that I haven't done yet. I mean, he hasn't logged into his Gmail account. So let me get that done. I don't think we have to worry about me accidentally popping in sensitive stuff. So it's possible that I'm going to get two-factored here, and that's okay. I should be all right for all that. Ever want to save? It does say that I'm signed in. So I get an email. Space Shot, there it is. Space Shot invited you to the DevTalkShow puzzles. I'm going to view the invitation, and then I'm going to accept it. So now I have admin access. Okay. So that means that I can set my I know this seems like I'm going back and forth, but I'm not doing this. Remember, this is a prep stream. So I'm not doing this. If you happen to pick up something, then that's awesome. But I'm going to add back origin. But now it will be from the DevTalkShow again, because he's now a full collaborator. So that's cool. And now, what's the status of my branch here? Nothing to commit. The working tree is clean. But yet, here's the interesting part. I think if I push this to origin, it's going to say like, oh, you got to set an upstream. Yeah. Yeah, because see, I've removed the remote that had the tracking branch on my little add map branch. So I removed that remote. So basically they're like, okay, you wanted to push, you're going to have to do this whole song and dance again, where you basically say, what branch are you pushing to? What's the tracking branch? What remote are you pushing to? And now I believe what I've done is if I head back over to Get Puzzles, I'm going to see that here it is. Here's Janko's map. Here it is. Cool. All right, so let's do a little bit more house cleaning. For one thing, we can do this very quickly. We can create a branch just right from here. I prefer calling my main branch trunk. I always have. The only reason I didn't do it was because there was a default, and sometimes going away from default in training or teaching made things confusing. But I have always, from the beginning of time, preferred calling my main branch trunk, because to me it represents the trunk of the graph, and I've always liked that analogy. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, I don't want to rename it. Oh, I could have renamed that. Well, whatever. I want to change the default branch for this repository, which can be done here in branches, and we're going to say trunk, and I don't really want to rename the branch. I want to rename it. I want to switch it. I guess I could have renamed it. I didn't realize that. Can't say that I realized that GitHub had that feature. So branch protection rules. We haven't done that. We can talk about this tonight, or we might say that you can't, maybe you can't do the trunk. You can do like require a pull request or something. I don't know. I guess it's okay when everybody's on the same team has access. In an open source project, you don't necessarily have to do this, because you would only allow your trusted collaborators access to the repo. You would have everybody else do pull requests. So it should, in my opinion, not a key. In an internal repo that's being shared by multiple people at work, I would do it. In an open source repository, I don't know that it's necessary. But I certainly know that people do it. So now that I've done all this, I can view all the branches. We can get rid of the master because we just don't need it. And we've renamed to trunk now. So now that I've done something like that, one of your questions might be, well, what does that mean for a local repository? That, I mean, I already have this repository locally. Well, as I've talked about here, all repositories are your repositories. So as far as my local Git repository on my Windows machine acting as myself, it still believes that this is a source code repository with one branch. It still thinks that. So what I can do, and again, you don't have to do this from the command line. A lot of Git tools automatically fetch, which means they automatically update. But you can see that. So we know now that Janko has pushed up a feature branch. We're not seeing that. We know that up in GitHub land, I made a new default branch, and it's called trunk, and I deleted this branch. So it's like, okay, how do I reconcile that locally? Well, a lot of people's software does it for them, which is okay. But I tend to prefer to fetch myself. So when I fetch, this is automatically going to get updated. And what it's saying is okay, well, there's a new branch trunk that points to the same commit, and then there's a feature branch add map that it looks like Janko has added here. So what I would do is that, talking with the team, it would be like, oh, okay, so trunk is the deal. All right, well then let me check out trunk. And let me go take a look at origin. And origin, I don't know for sure. There's a way to prune remotes, so, which I don't remember. So we're gonna have to go look that up. Git prune remote branches. What does pruning remote branches mean? It means clean up remote tracking branches that don't exist on the remote anymore. That a funny way of saying it? I never remember how to do this, so I usually go, okay, git fetch with a -- prune origin. If you don't, interesting, I didn't know this. If you don't want to fetch, but you just want to prune, there's git remote prune origin. I did not know that. I didn't know it. You can prune with every fetch if you set git configuration. I also didn't know that, so I learned a little bit here. This is cool. This is from Tower, which is a Git IDE. I did not know some of these things, so I learned a few things right now. That's cool. Let's prune origin, and it says, hey, well, there's a couple interesting things that have happened. It's like, look, origin no longer has this branch, but you were on it. You were on it. So that means you are now, oh, it did move me to branch trunk. I don't remember moving to it, but it doesn't matter. So we take a look and we can see that origin no longer, we're not seeing origin in GitKraken's view anymore of origin because it's no longer a remote, there's no longer a remote tracking branch to it. And now I just have trunk. If I check out user jjanko add map, I'm going to see it get added here to local. So if I say check out user jjanko add map, this is the line that people always ignore right here. Branch user jjanko add map set up to track remote branch. So they created a tracking branch. Okay. And the tracking branch goes the other direction. So, hey, Cryoni, thanks for showing up. And yeah, don't get me wrong, man. The gray is real, especially when my hair gets a little long. I was looking at it this morning, saying I need to cut my hair. When I cut it and it's short, it almost hides it a little bit, but not really. When it's first initially cut, it's like, and then like you get a couple days in, and you might not. But anyways, the point is, whatever. Plus, I'm getting some nice reflection off of this this light here too, making sure we can see exactly what's going on. But hey, you know what? It happens to the best of us, right, Cryoni? Happens to the best of us. So I'm prepping for the Dev Talk Show tonight, which is on that channel at 8:30, and I was just going over some things before I get started on work this morning that I'm kind of glad I did. I'm kind of glad I did, because otherwise we were going to be sitting around going, whoops, got to do this and got to do that. So now that I've checked out user jjanko, I usually don't remember the command to delete a local branch, so I almost always come here and just simply click. And what I don't like is how GitKraken will always tell you whenever you're deleting a branch, it will always say this is a destructive operation, and that scares people. It's not a destructive operation because we have two sticky notes, two branches pointing to the same commit. So deleting one of them, and heck, this commit is referenced by a commit, a descendant commit. So as Git walks back, it's going to say, yep, all these commits are still visible, reachable, and live. So it's not destructive at all. It just peels off this sticky note for master. That's it. So deleting a branch, I always forget how to do it. So let's try the branches help and see if that helps us. And git branch D, maybe git branch -D. Let's go find out what that does. Git branch -D, short for delete. Delete a branch, must be fully merged or in head if no upstream was set. Fine. That's actually what I want. I want to delete the branch locally. Sure, I will tell you that every day I click here and I click delete master. I do that all the time. But I'm taking this time to learn a little bit. So let's delete it this way. Gone out of GitKraken too. Yeah. So some of this setup, I would not have been. We would have been doing it all live tonight. So if I switch back over to my Linux box, which I think it should do, did not do it, or maybe it's possible that I'm behind. Yeah, it did do it. You know what's happened is my latency on the Twitch stream is really far behind now. So I can probably catch up real quick, get closer. Okay. So we know they've added a placeholder div for map work. Great. I did not get a chance to work on my scenario where I got to come up with a scenario where now I've started working, and then they add more work on the other side, and I'm going to take all those commits. So I'll have to work on that. There will be a conflict in index HTML though. At least I think there will be. So I'm going to have to put that together. But man, there's a lot that I need to review in this video, because I think there's videos to be made here for adding a key, for how you add it to your GitHub account, and then make sure the first time you use it that you are connecting to GitHub. I can do all that stuff here in Windows too. I just don't know, because there's a native OpenSSH client. And I have something on how to set that up. Positive that I do. I just never remember it. So I wonder, when did I write this? I wrote this a while ago. So, question is, yeah, you got to start. Okay, all right. Yeah, the easiest way to do this, PowerShell, right? What I don't know is if this optional feature is installed. Wow, this has been around since 1909, so this has been around for at least 3 years, and maybe it's been longer than 1909 too. Okay. Well, biggest PowerShell fan there ever was, I'll tell you that. I don't like. And then can I control plus this? I can't. You know what? I hate this thing. So let's come here. Add PowerShell. Okay. I think it's going to tell me that like it's not installed. It's stopped. So it is installed. I wonder if it's added by default now, because my document here, see, and I could just detect all these things, but what do I need? So I think you can make it automatic so it always starts with Windows. Yeah, that's what I think I'm doing right now, is I'm starting it. Right, I could set it to automatic. Sure. Oops. Okay, now that I've done that, I can say stuff like this, right? I can do this. Oh, I could. Or do I need the client? Oh, the service. Yeah, we haven't added the client. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, Cryoni started to learn code about 30 years ago. My own webpage from Notepad. Those were the days, man, and it was about 30 years ago. I actually thought learning code might have been fun, but didn't have a PC at home to practice on, so I lost interest. Hey, I hear you. And you know what's amazing about the world today is you don't need a PC anymore. That's, I know we needed it back then, but nowadays you could either use codepen.io is a good starting point. I think this is a good place to start, especially if you're coming back to it after a long time, because I can come here, and I gotta log off in a few minutes anyway, so I don't mind taking this this little detour. I can create a brand new pen, and instead of having to worry about all the cruft, I can say, well, I need HTML here, CSS here, and JS here. Okay, fine. And you don't have to do all the boilerplate stuff like this. But I can, and it didn't bother me, right? It actually didn't care that I did that. So let's say I say hello world, and then I come over to, whoops. Let's say I even put this in a p tag. Okay, and then head over to the CSS section. And what are you complaining about? Just HTML that goes into the body. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So on CodePen, they're trying to simplify this experience. And then what I can do is I can say that all p tags are blue, and that should change its color to blue. Oh, you're right. I forgot to turn off. I forgot. This is what's going to be interesting tonight, is switching back and forth between my two consoles. So thank you for reminding me that I need to do that. So I like CodePen. This is just CodePen.io. And once you log in, you can start creating what they call pens, where they separate out for you the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And I do not mind using this, especially if you're like getting back into it, or you just want to try quick things out. I think it's fantastic to just be like, hey, you know, I don't remember how to do some stuff. How do I make the font bigger again? And it's like, oh, that's how. And I can make it really big. Oh, okay, cool. I made it really big. And then let me do a real quick PID equals answer. And then we'll put another thing here, and then we'll have a button. ID equals press, and I'm gonna say press me, and then close the button. Okay, cool, that's all there. And then what I can do is I can come over to JavaScript land, and I can say document dot get element by ID press, and then add event listener. Do I even remember how to do all this? Man, that would be cool if I just remember all this from memory. I'm not saying that this part is fun. this is the part that's like, what are you doing? I think, although I don't really care about the E, so I think I function which is to say document dot get element by ID answer, and then is it inner text equals, let's say ouch for pressing the button. Okay, is that all correct? Not happy about something. Oh, I spelled out event listener wrong. That would be cool if it works. Yeah, it works. Cool. Cool. Thank you for catching the misspelling on event. What's cool is that they caught it for me. So what's neat about CodePen is I don't have to get into all the details. I don't have to get into all the details of a server. But I think it's important to learn that stuff. So then what I usually tell people is after you've started with CodePen, move on to something like Code Sandbox. I have a little battle going on in my head right now between Code Sandbox and Replit. They're both very good. So if I create a new sandbox, I can create a static sandbox. And this is a little bit more representative of the real world. You got an index HTML, and you're going to have this doc type stuff. And so what I can do is I can run back to CodePen. I can grab this, bring it here. Oh, it didn't work. Did I not hit Control-C enough times, Windows? Still not. Why not? Why can't I? That doesn't make sense. Am I doing something silly? Am I not hitting Control? That doesn't make any sense at all. I can't seem to paste in here. Why is that? Well, that stinks. I don't want to type that stuff again. Okay. Not going to pretend that I understand what that was all about. But okay, so I managed to paste that stuff in. All right, and then save. And then the browser is all set up. But none of this stuff's going to work. None of it's going to work. So that's because I need to create a quick file. And then I can paste this in, apparently. Okay, good. And then save that. And then I can create a quick site.js is good enough. Create a quick place for the JavaScript to live, which really should be readied up, which, you know, we'll have to get into another time. But since I'm not going to do any of that, let's come back to the HTML. Link up the CSS, save that. It should turn blue, get bigger, good. Now we got to load up the JavaScript. I never remember how to do this either, but I think it's source equals. I think it's going to help me. Yeah, it did, good. Thank you, Code Sandbox. Now, when I save it, I think everything should work. Yeah. So, yeah, so with browsers especially, there's copy and paste restrictions that are weird. So the only reason I point this out is not for anybody to remember anything, but to just say that nowadays, if you have like a Chromebook, or even if you have an iPad, I know it's a little frustrating typing on an iPad, but you can get little keyboards for them. You don't need this fancy computer. You can do this all on the web. And you can even publish and everything. And I used to have a nice video on it, but that video is a little out of date. I need to probably make another one. So when I say the quotes is like a target for the program to lock onto, so the quotes are a string, and the string is a concept in programming, meaning like some arbitrary text. And in HTML, so if I'm explaining the wrong thing, let me know. So in HTML, this attribute source, it's expecting a string. Now, I think if I take out the quotes, I do not think this works. I think it doesn't work. And I'm just going to double check. I'll see it. Code Sandbox changed it. It fixed it. But what I'm really doing is, if you're asking about this, if you're asking about the JavaScript I didn't bother to explain at all. But what I did in the JavaScript is I said, go find the element named press. And whenever somebody clicks, then take the element named answer and change its text to ouch. So you have to go back to the HTML to understand what's happening. I said, take the element press, which is a button. And if anyone clicks it, then when they click it, take the element answer and right here put in the word ouch, but do it dynamically. So you won't actually see the code change. But when I click press me, basically what happened is this little ouch text got inserted right here in the browser's memory. You're not going to see it in your file, but that's what happened. And you actually can see it if you hit the F12 console, but I'm not going to do that right now. So I did this the hard way. There are many people who would use a library like jQuery for this. But this is like my basic demo of, hey, look, you can build a web page in your browser now. You put your HTML here, you can put your CSS here. I just changed one thing so we could see it work. And then you can write some JavaScript and it all works. It's in your browser. You can take this URL right now that we're live, and not the easiest thing for me to cut and paste at the moment. And you can go to this site. This site is running live right now while I'm working. tr1lqm.csb.app. So Code Sandbox has a little virtual machine running back there right now. But yeah, tonight on the Dev Talk Show, we are talking about source control, and we're talking about Git. And so I wanted to make sure I had a second machine set up because I believe that it's important to have a second machine ready when you're working with Git, just so that I can show example. Like when you just do it all yourself, it's not quite the same as if you're working, and then, oh, other people did stuff, and that's what causes problems for people at work. And we're going to talk about that. So that's at 8:30 p.m. tonight, US Eastern Time. But right now, I have to get going. So hopefully everybody that watched had a good time and had fun, and had fun watching me struggle through getting my virtual machine set up. But it's great to see you, Cryoni, and we'll have to play some games sometimes. I know you were playing Extraction a little bit, which I've played a little bit. I just haven't been online as much lately, or I've been online with a trio already. It's too bad that game doesn't support one more. But other than that, definitely we'll catch you online or streaming if you ever are. And always, I would always watch a Cryoni stream. You know that. So, all right, everybody, have a great day. If your workday is just starting out, enjoy it. It's going to be a nice sunny day here in southeastern Pennsylvania, but it's going to be a little on the cool side. I'm supposedly getting up to the high 40s, maybe even 50, which would be nice, but not quite heading into spring yet, but it's coming. So, all right, -8C. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So I'm going to guess that that's probably about, in our terms, that's probably, I'm going to guess that that's around 25. Actually, probably a little more, maybe even 20, maybe 20 or 19. Yeah, but you were up to 30 yesterday. See, 30 warmer than, oh, it's minus 30C. Oh, minus 30C yesterday. That's really cold. Either that or you were looking up what -8 Celsius is for us Fahrenheit. For us Celsius challenged people. I'm pretty good at knowing when someone says 0, I know it's 32. And then, but what I struggle with is like when the temperature's in the 70s and 80s here, I don't quite know the Celsius for that. Like I don't have it off the top of my head. All right, everybody. Have a great day, and we will see you online again with more code, more games. Mostly code though, as I work on creating more content. So, have a good one.